Have you ever stopped to think about how a life, one that seems, pretty ordinary on the surface, maybe even starting with some real challenges, could somehow just weave itself into these huge historical moments?
That's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
Yeah, like not by chasing fame or anything, but just by being there, being decent, having this sort of open heart. How does someone like that leave such a mark?
Right. It makes you question what impact really means.
Yeah,
That it doesn't always come from like a big plan or ambition.
exactly.
Sometimes it's just about spirit, maybe resilience, being open to, well, wherever life takes you. It definitely makes you rethink success, influence, all that.
Totally. And that idea, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing a deep dive into Forrest Gump, the movie from '94, the one everyone remembers.
An absolute classic, iconic.
Yeah, and we're going beyond just the highlights. We're looking at the layers. Remember, it started as a novel by Winston Groom, then Robert Zemeckis directed it, and Tom Hanks. Well, he won the Oscar for it. Unforgettable.
Absolutely. So our mission really is to pull out the core insights, the connections, the themes that run through Forrest's, let's be honest, pretty wild life.
Right. Wildly improbable is a good way to put it.
And this isn't just going to be a plot recap. We want to give you a shortcut, sort of, to understanding why it hit such a chord with so many people.
Yeah, what does it really say about life being unpredictable? And maybe crucially, about the power of just basic human decency.
Exactly. Finding those nuggets of wisdom hidden in the story.
So yeah, get comfortable. We're starting right at the beginning of this truly unique journey.
Okay, let's start there. Greenbow, Alabama. Forrest's childhood.
Right.
So right off the bat, we learn he has low IQ. It's stated as 75, and he has physical issues, the leg braces. Walking is tough for him.
Mm-hmm. Sets the stage immediately.
It really does. These aren't just like background details. They tell you straight away, this guy's journey isn't going to be typical. He's starting from what most people would see as a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, insurmountable, maybe.
You might think so,
Yeah.
but his story just blossoms from there. It's almost paradoxical.
And those disadvantages, they don't really hold him back character-wise, do they? They kind of form the foundation for his resilience.
That's a great way to put it. And the key, really, the absolute key, is the support he gets.
His mom, Mrs. Gump.
Mrs. Gump, yeah.
Yeah.
Played so brilliantly by Sally Field. That fierce love she has.
And that line.
Oh, the line, you're no different from anybody else.
It's iconic.
And she doesn't just say it, she instills it in him. It's like emotional armor for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Protection against how the world might judge him.
Exactly. And that guidance, that belief in him, it shapes his whole character, his kindness, his resilience. It all stems from that. It's not about being smart in the conventional sense.
It's his character that carries him.
Precisely. It really shows you how powerful those early messages are,
Yeah.
About self-worth. They can last a lifetime.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How much those early messages, especially about your own value, can set your whole life's course, regardless of anything else.
Like she gave him this shield against cynicism, a pure heart.
A blueprint for just living authentically.
And alongside his mom, there's that other huge connection right from the start.
Jenny
Curran, his first friend, his deepest love. And she has her own struggles coming from an abusive home.
Right. And early on, she protects him
Right.
from bullies.
She does. But it's not just one way. He gives her something vital, too.
Yeah, that's that.
Just his simple, steady love. A kind of sanctuary for her. It's this constant thing in both their lives, even as things get complicated later.
So it's loyalty, innocence, even then.
Yeah, set against all the turmoil that's coming. It's a really interesting dynamic from the start.
It feels symbiotic, even as kids. She gives him protection, connection. He gives her stability, unconditional love.
Exactly. Especially as her life gets, more turbulent down the road. That simple bond is like an anchor for her.
It really sets the pattern for how he is with people later, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. If you connect it to the bigger picture, you see that same devotion, that loyalty with Bubba.
Oh, yeah, definitely with Bubba.
And with Lieutenant Dan. Massively with Lieutenant Dan. Once he cares, that connection is like unbreakable for Forrest. It's his moral compass.
Okay, so then we get to that moment. The one everyone remembers.
The running scene.
The leg braces, running from the bully.
And they just shatter, break off.
It's more than just physical freedom, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like discovery.
Absolutely. That's when he finds out he has this incredible speed, this ability that's going to literally, physically run him right into history.
Their irony is just incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
His disability, the thing that made him different, leads directly to the skill that unlocks everything for him.
Wow. Yeah.
It's kind of a beautiful metaphor, isn't it? How challenges can sometimes uncover these amazing strengths you never knew you had.
Gifts emerging from struggles. I like that.
And then Jenny shouts it.
Run, Forrest, run!
Yeah. More than just a command. It's like his life philosophy from then on. Just keep moving forward.
Keep running.
And that speed, it just throws him into this completely new life phase. Suddenly he's on a much bigger stage.
Right. Because that speed gets him noticed.
Exactly. Gets him a football scholarship. University of Alabama.
Despite, not really getting the strategy of the game.
Yeah, the film shows that comically well. He's just fast. He runs when they tell him to run. His success isn't ambition. It's just pure talent execution.
Simple ability, extraordinary result.
And he becomes this unwitting participant in huge events, almost like Zelig, drifting through.
It's funny, this guy from Alabama suddenly shaking hands with JFK.
Yeah. That moment sets the tone perfectly for the film's take on history. Forrest is always near power, but kind of oblivious to the full significance.
It does make you think, how your own little talents, maybe things you just stumble on, can put you in these unexpected places.
Absolutely. Serendipity, destiny, maybe.
So after college, things take a darker turn.
Yeah. The draft. Vietnam.
And this is where he meets two really important people.
Right. First, Bubba Blue.
The shrimping dream.
Exactly. Such a kind soul with this one clear, simple dream. And then
Lieutenant Dan
Taylor, his commander, cynical guy, carrying this heavy family legacy, right? Ancestors died in every war.
Like he's expecting it himself.
Feels like it. And the contrast there is just stark. Forrest's innocence dropped into the absolute brutality of war.
Where that kind of purity feels almost wrong, out of place.
Totally. And Bubba represents that simple American dream. LT Dan embodies this fatalism, generational sacrifice.
It's like a mini snapshot of the different ways people experience that war.
Definitely. And the bond between Forrest and Bubba, it's really touching amidst all that chaos. So simple, so deep.
But then tragedy hits.
Yeah. Bubba dies. It's brutal, heartbreaking, and it really affects Forrest deeply.
And in that same ambush.
Forrest becomes a hero, but unintentionally, right? He's just trying to save Bubba, save his friends, driven by loyalty.
He saves Lieutenant Dan.
Saves LT Dan, who gets badly injured, loses his legs. And this is where it gets really interesting, LT Dan's reaction.
He's not just grateful.
Not at all. He's angry, resentful even. He feels Forrest cheated him out of his destiny, that noble death he thought was his right.
Wow. That's complex.
Incredibly complex. It really makes you think about heroism, doesn't it? And what it means to be saved when maybe you didn't want to be. The aftermath.
That tension in LT Dan gratitude versus feeling like he lost his dignity, his purpose. It's so raw.
Yeah. Shows how trauma messes with perception. Turns a life-saving act into something bitter.
And through all this, Forrest gets the Medal of Honor, meets LBJ.
Right. Just keeps stumbling into history, doesn't he? Completely unintentional.
And it doesn't stop there. His accidental influence keeps going.
Ping pong.
Ping pong diplomacy.
Yeah.
While he's recovering, he just picks up a paddle and he's amazing at it.
It's just naturally gifted, that focus he has.
So he joins the army team, goes to China, becomes a celebrity.
And it's a direct nod to the real history, right?
Yeah.
Nixon using ping pong to thaw relations with China.
Another case of Forrest's simple actions having these massive global consequences.
That historical irony again. It's such a core theme. History isn't always made by the big players. Sometimes it's just a guy playing ping pong.
Makes you wonder how often that happens, right? Small things, big shifts. Ordinary people at the crossroads of history without even realizing it.
Exactly. How interconnected everything is. Unintended consequences.
So he gets back home. The country's in turmoil, social unrest, protests.
Then he runs into Jenny again, briefly.
And her life is. It's clearly gone down a difficult path.
Yeah. Deep in the counterculture, protest, drugs. It's a painful contrast to Forrest's steady path.
Heartbreaking, really.
And then in pure Forrest fashion, he accidentally helps expose Watergate.
Just by calling security about flashlights in the hotel opposite.
It's incredible. Again, that contrast. Forrest's simple world versus Jenny's chaos, mirroring the nation's chaos.
And him being the bystander who triggers huge events.
If you connect it to the bigger picture, it's like a commentary on how random things felt then. Small actions, huge fallout in a volatile time.
And all this upheaval, personal and national, it really sets up his next big thing. Which comes from
a promise.
to Bubba.
Exactly. Keeping his word. He uses his ping pong money, buys a boat, starts the shrimping business, fulfills that dream.
And who joins him?
Lieutenant Dan. But he's reluctant, really depressed, sees it as like rock bottom.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. This isn't just business. It's about loyalty, commitment. That's Forrest's core.
Absolutely. And you see LT Dan just broken, almost daring life to kick him again.
But Forrest just keeps showing up, steady.
Yeah. And that persistence starts to wear down Dan's cynicism slowly. They struggle massively at first, though. It's not easy.
No instant success, lots of empty nets.
Definitely. It shows that hard work doesn't always pay off immediately. Tests their resilience.
Yeah.
But then,
Fate steps in, or maybe just weather.
Hurricane Carmen, a monster storm,
Wipes out everybody else.
destroys the competition.
Yeah.
But somehow, the Bubba Gump boat survives. It's the only one left.
Pure chance,
Oh.
turning everything around.
Dramatically. Comically, almost.
And suddenly, Bubba Gump Shrimp Co. is huge. Explosive success.
Yeah. It's that box of chocolates moment, writ large. Randomness turning failure into massive success.
Yeah.
Honest effort meets unbelievable luck.
It really makes you think about luck or destiny or whatever you want to call it. How much of a role does it play alongside hard work?
A huge role, the film
Yeah.
suggests. Sometimes it's just about being the last one standing after the storm and having the grit to still be there.
And this success, it changes things for Lieutenant Dan, big time.
It's the catalyst for his transformation, his redemption.
Yeah, how so?
Well, through the business, through Forrest's friendship, he starts to heal, to make peace with his life. It's not just physical healing.
So emotional.
Spiritual. Absolutely. His journey from bitterness and self-pity to acceptance, gratitude, eventually genuine joy. It's one of the most powerful arcs in the film.
And seeing him later walking on prosthetic legs, marrying.
It mirrors his inner healing. It really poses that question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Can real healing start only when you accept what you can't change
Yeah.
and find a new way forward?
It's a huge contrast from the guy who wanted to die in Vietnam.
Night and day. Shows the incredible impact of Forrest's friendship. Just steady, unconditional support.
But just as LT Dan finds peace, Forrest gets hit with another personal earthquake.
Jenny leaves again.
Just disappears. No explanation.
Nope. Vanishes. And that heartbreak, that uncertainty, it triggers the run.
The famous run across America.
Yeah. But he doesn't start with a reason, remember. No big plan.
He just felt like running.
Exactly. It's like this raw physical response to pain. Emotional processing through sheer endurance. No agenda, just instinct.
That line, I just felt like running. It's so simple, but so resonant. Maybe because we all feel that urge sometimes to just move when things are overwhelming.
Could be. It taps into something basic, and the irony kicks in again.
How so?
This guy, running just for himself, suddenly becomes a national figure. People start following him.
Seeing him as a leader, a guru.
Yeah, even though he has no message. He says nothing profound. But people project their own hopes onto him. They're searching for meaning.
It says a lot about us, maybe. That search for meaning, even in unexpected places.
Definitely. And it's that innocence versus cynicism theme again. He stays simple, pure, while the world reads all sorts of complex things into what he's doing. He just keeps running.
Unchanged by it all.
Pretty much. And the scale of the run. It's mind-boggling.
Over 3 years, coast to coast.
Back and forth. The endurance is incredible. It symbolizes perseverance, maybe escapism, maybe a search for answers he can't even put into words.
Just putting one foot in front of the other.
For 3 years, and then one day he just stops.
Which leads us into the final chapter, the most emotional part, arguably.
Yeah, because Jenny gets back in touch.
The reunion. Full circle.
But it's bittersweet. More than bittersweet, it's tragic. She tells him she's sick.
With that unnamed illness, heavily implied to be AIDS.
Right. A reflection of the times, the cost of the life she lived. It's incredibly poignant.
Brings their whole long, complicated story together, but with this layer of deep sadness.
That first love, enduring through everything, now facing this harsh reality.
But then comes the biggest reveal of all.
The aha moment. She has a son, Forrest Jr.
And Forrest is the father.
Yeah. The look on his face when he asks if the boy is smart or like him. And Jenny says he's very smart.
The relief. The overwhelming love.
That's incredibly powerful. It gives Forrest this completely new purpose.
Yeah.
Continuity.
And seeing his son is bright, kind, It's like the best parts of both of them carried forward. It answers that question about legacy, doesn't it? It's not the medals or the money. It's his son.
Absolutely. His capacity for simple, profound love just expands instantly to include this child. It's pure Forrest.
So they finally get married.
They do. A brief moment of peace,
Yeah.
maybe happiness for Jenny. A culmination.
But she dies soon after.
Yeah. Bringing that central relationship to a very tender, very sad end, and leaving Forrest in his final role.
As a father.
A single devoted father. The last scenes show him getting Forrest Jr. ready for school, just like his mom did for him.
And he's sitting at the bus stop again?
Right, where he told his whole story, bringing it all full circle.
So what does this all mean, ultimately?
It feels like peace, acceptance, finding purpose not in the extraordinary events, but in the ordinary love for his son. For the bus stop, it's about reflection, cycles, finding meaning right there in the everyday.
Okay, so beyond the plot, the emotion,
Yeah.
the film is packed with deeper stuff, right? Themes, symbols.
Oh, absolutely. That's why it sticks with you.
And you have to start with the line,
Gotta be. Life is like a box of chocolates.
you never know what you're going to get, Mrs. Gump's wisdom.
It perfectly sums up the film's view of life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Randomness, surprise. Forrest's whole life is about embracing the unexpected, not fighting it.
Going with the flow.
Exactly. It's a great metaphor. It kind of pushes you to think about your own life, how you handle uncertainty. Do you resist? Or do you kind of open the next chocolate and see what it is?
Yeah, with that resilient spirit he have.
And then there's that constant theme, innocence versus cynicism.
Forrest stays good, kind, loyal, honest, even when the world around him is not.
He's like this moral anchor. His goodness stands out so much against the backdrop of war, protest, political scandal. He remains pure.
Untainted.
Yeah. You see it in his simple reactions compared to, say, Elteen Dan's early bitterness or Jenny's struggles and compromises.
And tied into that is the historical irony we talked
That's
about.
him accidentally influencing Vietnam, Watergate, even Apple computers through Elteen Dan's investment.
It's satire, right, on how history actually happens.
I think so. It suggests history isn't always these grand plans. It's often chance, unintended consequences, simple actions having huge ripples,
Yeah.
less linear, more chaotic collisions.
And the feather. We have to talk about the feather.
Yes. The opening and closing shot, that white feather floating.
What does that symbolize, do you think?
Well, it's beautiful symbolism, isn't it? It seems to capture that balance between fate, maybe, being carried by the wind, forces beyond your control,
And free will.
Okay.
Choice.
or maybe acceptance, where it lands. That suggests a choice, or at least finding your place.
Yeah.
It really invites you to think about how much is destiny, how much is us.
It leaves it open-ended.
Completely. As the feather floats off again at the end, life is fragile, beautiful, unpredictable.
Wow. So, okay, beyond the story itself, the film's impact was huge.
Oh, massive.
Yeah.
A true cultural phenomenon.
Critically acclaimed first, 6 Oscars.
Including Best Picture, Best Actor for Hanks, Best Director for Zemeckis. That kind of recognition cemented its place.
Yeah.
Validated its power.
And commercially, it was enormous.
Huge box office success. It just connected with everyone. Maybe that blend of humor, heart, nostalgia, the universal themes. It just worked on so many levels.
And you know it hit deep when the lines become part of everyday language.
Exactly. Run, Forrest, run. Everyone knows that.
Stupid as a snoopid does.
Yep. Those phrases are just in pop culture now. It shows how memorable the dialogue was, how much those moments resonated beyond the screen.
It's rare for a film to leave that kind of verbal footprint.
It really is. A sign of its enduring legacy.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, looking back at Forrest's whole life, you see this unexpected beauty, this resilience, the impact of just living with decency, loyalty.
He started with challenges, yeah, but his journey, driven by heart and openness, was extraordinary. Redefined success, in a way.
It shows that success isn't just about brains or strategy, it's character, kindness, showing up.
Exactly. He found his real purpose in love and loyalty, not the big achievements.
So that final thought then, if life is like a box of chocolates, what unexpected flavor might be waiting for you, especially if you face it with a bit of Forrest's spirit, that openness.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, how your own small actions, your everyday choices might ripple out. Maybe touch history, maybe just change someone's life profoundly, like Forrest did, often without even knowing.
It's a good reminder, I think. Every life holds that unpredictable journey, that potential,